And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon.
Looking to absolve your sins? Well, the solution is right at your fingertips. The Vatican has announced Pope Francis will be offering forgiveness. Per tradition, Francis will offer plenary indulgences, that is, reductions on purgatory time, to participants at World Youth Day later this month. A Vatican official told Vatican Radio indulgences are linked to a theme that Pope Francis has spoken very frequently about since the moment of his election, that is to say, to the gift of God's mercy. About 2 million pilgrims are expected to head to Rio de Janeiro for the new pontiff's first trip abroad, hoping to shave off some time in limbo. But they're not the only ones. Any of his 7 million Twitter followers legitimately prevented from attending will have the same opportunities. Francis has extended the rites and pious exercises of the event to those following it on TV, radio, and through social media.
The Pope has rewritten the Church's historically harsh attitude toward non-believers. The Pope said, "This commandment for everyone to do good, I think, is a beautiful path toward peace. If we each, doing our own part, if we do good to others, if we meet there, doing good, and we go slowly, gently, little by little, we will make that culture of encounter. We need that so much. We must meet one another doing good."
Good news for all you atheists out there. Jesus is still going to redeem you. During his homily at Wednesday Mass, Pope Francis emphasized the importance of doing good as a principle that unites all humanity. In his sermon, he said, "The Lord has redeemed all of us, with the blood of Christ, all of us, not just Catholics, everyone, even the atheists, everyone."
Said today that God is not a magician with a magic wand. Evolution and the Big Bang Theory are real.
The Pope said, quote, "When we read about creation in Genesis, we risk imagining God as a magician with a magic wand able to make everything, but that is not so." Now, the Pope added he created beings and allowed them to develop according to the internal laws that he gave to each one, so they were able to develop and to arrive at their fullness of being. And Pope Francis made these comments at the Vatican. He says this is all part of God's plan.
At a certain point, I've just concluded that for me personally, it is important for me to go ahead and affirm that I think same-sex couples should be able to get married.
Lesbian, bisexual, transgender, every single American deserves to be treated equally in the eyes of the law and in the eyes of our society. It's a pretty simple proposition. I vowed to keep up the fight against the so-called Defense of Marriage Act. There's a bill to repeal this discriminatory law in Congress, and I want to see that passed. But until we reach that day, my administration is no longer defending DOMA in the courts. I believe the law runs counter to the Constitution, and it's time for it to end once and for all. It should join Don't Ask, Don't Tell in the history books.
And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. And they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of time.
All right, Georgia, I'm waiting for the actual opinion itself, but our excellent colleagues inside have told us that that Defense of Marriage Act, which for federal law defined marriage as the union of one man, one woman only, denied all federal benefits to gay couples, that has been ruled unconstitutional.
In San Francisco, the party went on all night long. There was dancing in the streets to mark a momentous victory. California's long-fought battle for gay marriage now over. In New York, there were cheers at the historic Stonewall Inn, a sweeping win for gay rights from the nation's highest court, and now orders from the highest offices. President Obama directing his cabinet to ensure federal benefits are extended to married gay couples. California's governor ordering all counties in the Golden State to allow same-sex weddings.
In an unprecedented show of openness to the real lives of many Catholics today, a Vatican document released Monday said gays should be accepted, and there are positive aspects to a couple living together without being married.
Homosexuals have gifts and qualities to offer to the Christian community. Are we capable of welcoming these people, guaranteeing to them a fraternal space in our communities?
We must respect the dignity of every person. And the fact to be homosexual doesn't mean that this dignity must be not recognized and promoted.
For heterosexuals, the bishop said civil weddings and cohabitation should be accepted with the aim of helping the couple commit eventually to a church wedding. Bishops clearly took into account the views of Pope Francis, who has urged a new tone of welcome for the church.
The question is this an example of Pope Francis trying to take the church in new directions, open it up, without changing or assaulting doctrine?
I don't think, I note a remarkable unanimity and enthusiastic backing of the Holy Father's attempt to present the teaching of the church in a fresh, exciting, enchanting new way. There's unanimity there, Charlie.
There is news from the Vatican tonight, widely described today as something of an earthquake for the Catholic Church. It involves a global gathering of bishops, including the Pope, held behind closed doors, and what could be a dramatic shift in the Church's thinking on the acceptance of gays, and separately how to minister to divorced and remarried Catholics.
The Francis Effect and his vision of a more inclusive church embraced today by the Catholic bishops. In a statement one observer describes as the church thinking out loud, the bishops take a new merciful tone to disaffected Catholics, writing homosexuals have gifts and qualities to offer to the Christian communities. Last year, famously saying about a gay person,
Chi sono io per giudicarla?
Who am I to judge?
Miss Rivers, how are you? You made a ton of news officiating the wedding in New York yesterday. Is this like a new cottage career move for you?
I'm so excited.
Good.
And I should do very well because I don't charge.
And do you think that the country will see the United States will see the first gay president or the first woman president?
We already have it with Obama, so let's just calm down.
Got it.
You know Michelle is a trans.
I'm sorry, she's a what?
A transgender. We all know.
Oh my gosh.
Oh gosh. It's okay.
There is breaking news now on Fox News Channel. I'm Shepard Smith at the Fox News deck in New York. The comedic legend Joan Rivers has died. A statement from her daughter was released just a short time ago, in fact, over the last minute, and it reads from her daughter, "It is with great sadness that I announce the death of my mother, Joan Rivers. She passed peacefully at 1:17 p.m., that's Eastern Time, surrounded by family and close friends."
And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed.
So looking at the meeting today, looking at the rapport between the president and the Pope, they seem to be getting along very well. Is this the beginning of a long friendship?
Well, I hope so, and I would expect that both of them hope so as well. They were all smiles afterwards, and the Pope said, I really feel that you should feel at home here. So I would think it's the start of a good relationship.
My day started with the great honor of meeting His Holiness Pope Francis. And like people around the world, I've been incredibly moved by his compassion, his message of inclusion. I was grateful to have the opportunity to speak with him about the responsibilities that we all share to care for the poor, the excluded. I invited and urged him to come visit the United States, telling him that people would be overjoyed to see him.
We often speak of our visit to Rome with the Philadelphia delegation last March. It was there that the governor had the honor of inviting the Pope to Philadelphia, and the Holy Father answered our invitation by whispering 3 words in Tom's ear: I will come.
Pope Francis will arrive in Philadelphia, and with an electricity that's captivating the world, with his call for mercy and caring for the poor. Paying his own bills after his election, living in simpler quarters instead of the apostolic palace, and calling on his bishops to live more humbly, have won support across the world. As the first pope from Latin America elected in March 2013, Francis's appeal to the Hispanic Catholic community is significant. It's the fastest growing community in the church, even dominating the American Catholic Church.
The World Meeting of Families, Philadelphia 2015, will take place from September 22nd until September 27th. And then overnight, the stage becomes an altar. And the Ben Franklin Parkway will be the setting for Pope Francis Mass. And that will take place on Sunday, September 27th. And that is how the World Meeting of Families will close with Pope Francis.